Hello, it is Sunday, May 19th, 2024. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Sunday crossword today, which means we're going to be solving a big Sunday, extra-large, themed grid with a title, Hold Your Doze. I have no idea what that means. We'll find out soon. In any case, this mysteriously titled edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Mitchell Turek, Henrik Koskinen, and, as always, the indomitable Shoalmaster, and the ineffable Josh Bordeaux. So thank you so much to the four of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They, of course, bring us this series, they sustain this channel, and for that, I'm very grateful. Thank you to those four, and thank you to everybody who's a patron of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. I really do appreciate it. And if you'd like to join their ranks, you can head over to patreon.com/dailysolve or click the description field link where you'll find all of the bonus videos available to patrons, as well as for benefactors, the Let's Check the Crosses official mug. And I've just realized I've not yet done this week's Friday mini puzzle pseudo speed solve, so I do need to get onto that. Sorry about that if you're waiting for that as a patron. And thanks as well to everybody who's subscribed to the channel on YouTube. That's a big help. And finally, there is that Daily Solve Discord chat server you can join. Nice, friendly chat community. There's a link in the description field. And now let's get on to today's puzzle. Hold your doze. Maybe hold your nose is what that's evoking, and there'll be some punny reason why it's spelled this way. Anyway, it's by Christina Iverson and Katie Hale. I recognize both of those names. I don't remember roughly how many puzzles they've each constructed. They're both certainly experienced constructors for the New York Times. And it was edited once again by Joel Faliano. Let's start solving, see how we get on. End of the line. End of the line. Not sure. 1991 crime drama starring Warren Beatty and Annette Bening. I don't know. I'll probably recognize it when I see it. Luau greeting. Aloha, probably. From Hawaiian. And then no worries. It's okay, maybe? Let's try that. Grunting ox by another name. Is a yak known as a grunting ox? I don't think I knew that. But let's put it in and see. End of the line. Oh, bait, end of the fishing line? You have bait at the end of a fishing line you'd cast. Okay. That could be it. Let's try it. Oh, this is Bugsy. You know, I have seen Bugsy. I think. Is this the one? Maybe I haven't. I'm thinking of a film where it's mainly children, but Warren Beatty and Annette Bening. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know what I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong film, maybe the right one. I don't know. Anyway, lead into marine or marathon, ultramarine or ultramarathon, both phrases. And pants informally trow for trousers. Break up the band, say, go solo, right? Okay, so if you leave a group to do your own albums, you could break up the band, go solo. If that missing house title ever does show up, should something? Should it appear? You know, that meaning of should. Kosher. If something's kosher, it's allowed. You know, kosher Jewish stricture, but it can often use it informally to refer to rules in general. Wide receiver blank Beckham Jr. I do not know. So this does look like should, probably. What about this? Poetic preposition. Or, maybe? A contraction of over. A poetic sort of contraction. Could be. Having a studious appearance. Being owl-like, maybe? Or owlish? Yes, okay. So people with a particular kind of, as this says, studious or kind of book-smart appearance are sometimes described as owlish. Okay, then again, in text messages, OTOH, on the other hand. And certain arm muscles in brief are triceps, there we go. Video game company that published Frogger. I don't know. Sega? That doesn't sound right. Maybe it was, I don't know. I don't know. It's probably obvious in retrospect, but I don't know. Goes in a hurry. Highs, probably, as in, high and away, to sort of an archaic or poetic bit of language at this point, slightly quaint. Spice Girl Hallowell. Oh, Jerry Hallowell, certainly have heard of. There we go. Maybe this is Sega. Okay. I guess that's the case. I didn't remember that being the case, but I guess it is. Okay, here we have Sri Lanka. We'll just fill in the blank. Simple enough. And another theme clue. A question from someone with a lot of outstanding debt. Question. What else is new? What else is due? Right, okay, yes. Yes, we're putting D's where N's are. That's how the title of the puzzle works. Hold your nose becomes hold your doze. Sort of sounds like when you're incredibly congested with a cold. Hold your doze. What else is due? So, okay, so what would this mean then? If that missing house title ever does show up, what is a word for a house title that starts with N? I don't know. House title. I assume it means title in the sense of a deed, the document that indicates your ownership, but I just can't think of what that's called. I don't know. Biblical verb. I can't think, sorry. Olympic event with masks. Épée, maybe? You wear the fencing mask? Agnes blank, motif in Christian iconography. Agnes Day? I think this is probably right, but let's look at the crosses and see. Biblical verb. Doth? Yeah, most of what I'm thinking of has 5 letters or more, so this is one of the few cases I can think of, so it's probably right. So should the house to a blackjack player. I don't know. Does this mean a term for, is this a sort of jargony term for the house in blackjack? I don't know. Charades, but not chess. Boy, I don't know. Don't know that either. Giveaways in some common scams of the 2010s. Giveaways in some common scams of the 2010s. Wow, I don't know that either. Tough little nook here. Show with the church lady and Target lady for short. Okay, it must be SNL. I sort of remember church lady. I don't think I've ever seen Target lady. But anyway, it's SNL, it's Saturday Night Live, the sketch comedy show. So giveaways, and the S was fairly likely because 7 down says giveaways plural. Sign. An omen maybe is a sign, as in something portentous, something that signifies something to come. The house to a blackjack deal. Oh, opponent. Okay, right. Okay, you're playing. I see. You're playing against the house. The house is your opponent. Right. That makes sense. Okay, as opposed to some games where you're just playing against other players and the house is kind of dealing and running the game. I mean, I guess in some sense the house is always your opponent, but more directly in blackjack. Giveaways in some common scams of the 2010s. Oh, iPods or something? I don't think I know whatever this scam is. I have no idea what this is referencing. Charades but not chess are is a team game. Right. And I was saying are originally because charades looks like it's plural, but of course it isn't. It's a single game, the game of charades. So, and you play it with teams, unlike chess. Okay, there we go. So this is iPads. I don't know what this scam is about. And then if that missing house title ever does show up, should the... All right, and we're turning N into a D. I guess the word doesn't need to start with N. I don't know why I said that needed to be true. I suppose because hold your nose starts with N, nose does, and new starts with the N. But I suppose the N could be anywhere in the clue, in theory. So... that missing house title, I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. Okay, and still I rise, writer Maya Angelou. There we go. Drink for which Pliny the Elder recorded a recipe. It must be mead, a kind of sort of honey-based brew, right? I weirdly have a bottle of chili mead that I've have had sips of from time to time. It's quite nice. French companions, amis. So, in French you'd say ami. Amis more clearly here in English to signify the S, but there we go. Ami, French for friend. And con could be, an inmate, as in a convict, someone detained in a prison. And coming from both sides, I'm not sure. Oh, should the need arise? No, should the deed arise? Oh, I spelled iPads wrong. I was thinking, what? I think I've solved this, but it doesn't make sense with what I've written. Okay, well, that was not making it any easier for me to figure out this clue. Anyway, should the deed arise is the kind of congested version of the phrase that matches the clue if that missing house title ever does show up, because the deed is a house clue. And then the original phrase, the kind of English language phrase, is should the need arise. That's our source phrase that we're modifying. Great. Okay, good. So let's keep going. Coming from both sides. I really don't know what that is about. Bill in a till, a $10 bill. In theory, there are $2 bills as well, but they're not very widely used. Change for a 32 across, perhaps. Ones or 5. Could be either of those. Let's see. Official OKs. Morgan Stanley subsidiary. Right, I don't know. It's not very likely that I'll know this off the top of my head, but it could start with N or E. No, sorry. No, it's either ones or 5. So it'll start with E or V. Sorry about that. Okay. E-Trade, maybe? I have no idea if E-Trade is a subsidiary of Morgan Stanley, but they're both financial services companies. So it's possible. Let's try this. Let's put ones in here as our change for the 10. And then official OKs. Oh, stamps, maybe? You give something the official stamp, or, either literally or metaphorically. And then tiniest amount is an iota. Maybe this isn't stamps. Okay. Oh, official OKs. Say-sos. Okay, that's also completely reasonable. And then no promises is I'll try. All right, no promises, but I'll try. Caption for an absent student, say not present. It's not long enough. Over which but it does start with P, or it does have a P here, because over which announcements at pep rallies announcements about pep rallies might be heard for short. Could be PAs, public address systems. So systems by which a voice is projected. Okay, caption for an absent student, say. Not, I don't know. It's obviously not that. Teacher's instruction in a class on pointillism. Something about maybe not becomes dot, because pointillism uses thousands of tiny little dots to create an overall image. Not sure. You have a face for radio, for one. That's a bit of a diss, I suppose. And Salt and Pepper with the refrain, blank, blank, badoop, shoop, shoop, badoop, because that very catchy song. And tuna type is ahi, there we go. Very common restaurant tuna. And then teacher's instruction in a class on pointillism is... I don't know. Trust in. To trust in someone is to... lean on? Lean on, maybe? Not sure that's right, but it could be. Treats that Paul Hollywood and Prue Leith picked as runner-up to Doritos for best snack in America. Oh, this must not be lean in. This is amazing. I didn't know this fact. But presumably they picked Oreos. That is absolutely fascinating to me that they picked Doritos as the best snack in America. That's very funny. The co-hosts of The Great British Bake Off. Anyway, that's funny. But Oreos is, of course, the official snack cookie of the New York Times crossword. So maybe they should have picked that. But they gave it runner-up. That's fine. Okay. To trust in something is to... rely on it. That's better. That's better than lean on. Okay. And then not accept a refusal is to insist on something. There we go. That's it. And I suppose we may as well finish this area up here. We're not getting any more clues poking into it, so we may as well clean it out. Something. Something. So some spelled here as in the result of adding things up. I'm not sure what the answer is, though. Fragrant additive to beauty products. Some kind of oil. Rose oil, maybe? I think that's the kind of thing that's used sometimes. Let's put it in there and move on. It's like. If something's ish, you could say it's, well, we had owlish before. You could say owl-like, and those would have essentially the same meaning. Caitlin Olsen's role on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This is a great long-running comedy, and she plays the character of Dee, Sweet Dee. So there we go. To do wrong is to err. There we go. To make a mistake. And then hubris is pride, straightforwardly. 1993 Beck single, Oh, Loser. Yeah, I remember that song. Okay, I think that's the answer. And then, oh, something is a plus. Okay, fair enough. You sum things up, you add them together, you use a plus sign to do it. Certain wedding role is an usher. You could have an usher at a wedding or various other events. All right, let's keep going. Oh, here's our caption for an absent student, which right, okay. Still don't know what that is. Maybe these, no. This N wouldn't be the N in question because it would have changed to a D. Okay, I don't know. Let's keep going. Biblical king of Judea, King Herod. In the biblical story, sends out there's a census and everything else. Okay. Anyway, give a sharp hit is to, not to whack, to, I'm not sure what that is. Widely admired person, a hero maybe? And one of many in the Colosseum, an arch. There we go. Architecturally. Give a sharp hit to sort of whap something maybe? Is that it? Grass. I don't know. Not sure about this. Prey of polar bear. Oh, Arctic seals are prey of polar bears. Okay. So what is this? Grass. Oh, pot, like weed. Okay, there we go. That's what it is. Marijuana. All right. Fair enough. Teacher's instruction in a class on pointillism. Do as I say, dot as I do. Very good. Very, very funny. Do as I say, dot as I do. Obviously from do as I say, not as I do. But in this case, the teacher is actually providing a demonstration. Fusses are ado. It's a whole ado. It's a whole trouble. There's a whole fuss. Ado. Perform very well in modern slang. To, I don't know. Oversight is a lapse in judgment. Right. Oversight is a sort of funny word because it can mean oversight as in the close monitoring of something, but it can also mean an oversight as in a failure to notice something. That was an oversight. One of those funny words that can just mean completely different things depending on how you're using it. Okay, perform very well. Oh, perform very well. Pop off. This is popping off. Performing very well. It's all good. It's probably right. Cheeky, insolent means cheeky, sassy. Cause to rise is to leaven bread, for instance. And weaknesses are my weaknesses, my vices. There we go. So to do wrong is to sin. A caption for an absent student. Not pictured. Oh, why did I think this was going to be a theme clue? That was very strange. I'm pretty sure I was doing that before. Why was I doing that? It's not in italics. It's not in the crosses where all of the theme clues are. It's not even as long as it's fairly long, but it's not even as long as those. I don't know what I was thinking. That is strange. Sorry about that. You must have been very confused. I am now. Underwater steerer. So a sea creature could use a fin to steer itself underwater. Where a golf ball sits, its lie is where it sits. So where it lands. Stevedore's complaint. So a dock worker, what might they complain about? I haven't a clue just yet. Let's come back to it. Bye Bye Birdie actress Anne Margaret was the sort of single hyphenated name actor from Bye Bye Birdie. Makeup of a tiny twisting ladder, DNA, the helix kind of pattern of DNA. Keep going is one more or something like that. I'm not sure. Okay, nincompoop, more vulgarly. Asshat maybe? That's a kind of, I guess, vulgar insult. How one might punnily define saran or sorry. It's a wrap. There we go. These are both things that wrap. So saran wrap is a brand of cling film which you could use in the kitchen, and a sari is a wrapped garment. So there we go. Keep going. I don't know what this is. Like cutting the line. It's very rude. You shouldn't do that. Please cue in a respectful manner. Makes sense. It adds up. There we go, using our plus sign from earlier. If you're for something, you're pro it, you're in favor. And actress McDonald, Audra, I think maybe? That sounds vaguely familiar to me. Let's see if that works. About 40% of a hectare. Is an acre 40% of a hectare? I didn't specifically know that, but it sounds very plausible. Keep going. Don't know why this is so elusive. Don't know. Okay, matcha, e.g., that's an example of a tea preparation. And if one follows a recipe direction, one dices, maybe? Is that true? I would usually expect this kind of thing to have to be something like follows a recipe direction, comma, say, to indicate that this is, well, no, I guess a recipe direction. Yes, okay. I guess that's saying a recipe direction. This is just one recipe direction. It's just one example of a recipe direction. Okay, fair enough. So dices, that could be a direction and a recipe. Golf ball indentation. It's not a divot. What is that called? A dimple. There we go. There's little dimples in golf balls. Stevedore's complaint. It's a hard knock life. There we go. Very good. Okay, so that's from the song. Is it from Annie? It's a hard knock life. Is that where that song originates? I think maybe. I've never seen Annie, but it's a pretty famous song. Anyway, a stevedore, a dock worker, might be complaining about the hard life on the docks. Okay, home to Firenze would be Italia. So we're just looking for and we're saying Firenze rather than Florence because we're using the Italian language. So we're referring to it in Italian. And then so we put the name of Italy in Italian, which is Italia. So there we go. South Platte, maybe, river through Denver. There is Platte. That is a sort of geographical name of that general region, but I don't know the river specifically. Let's see. Lack of energy, anemia. If you're short on energy, you're anemic. Chocolate mint brand Andes Mints. There we go. So keep going. Onward. Right. That's a single word. I kept thinking of on as being the first of two words, but no. That's why I was being thrown off. Okay, fair enough. Name that means night in Arabic and purple in German. Well, that's kind of a nice thing there. I wonder if there's probably no relationship between those words in those languages, but maybe there is. It'd be interesting to know. Anyway, they might cover your backs. Oh, anyway, that'll be Lily. They might cover your back. Or maybe it's Lila. Anyway, I don't know what they may cover your back, but I think this might be Lila. Anyway, what eat stands for in the mnemonic, never eat soggy waffles. Northeast, southwest. I see. So, okay. So it stands for east. I don't think I've heard this one, never eat soggy waffles, but a mnemonic is a phrase that allows you to remember some other word or pattern. And you can see never eat soggy waffles starts with the letters NESW, which are the four cardinal directions on the compass rose, of which E represents east. So we'll put that in. It's almost the same word, eat, in east. We just stick an S in it. Okay, they might cover your back. Oh, tattoos. Okay, so this was Lila. There we go. Good. Glad I rethought that. Tour guides remark at the challah factory. So challah, in this case, we're making bread. That probably starts with that. Tour guides remarks. That's something. A waking dream, per Aristotle. Hope, maybe? Let's try it and see. Out the blank. Out the wazoo, you could say, I've got crossword answers out the wazoo in this big Sunday grid. And metaphor for a house with young children, perhaps, a zoo. They're running around making a mess. Cry of delight. A whoop, maybe, would be a cry of delight. And a URL starter is www for World Wide Web. Question of ownership. Whose is this? Whose? And a gratified groan could be so a groan of relief and pleasure rather than surprise or frustration in this case. Okay, masters of underwater camouflage. I assume this will be a sea creature. Why can't I think what it is? I don't know. Change form. Change form is to morph. There we go. To transform, to transmogrify. Masters of underwater camouflage are otters? That doesn't seem right at all. Oh, octopi. That's what it is. There we go. Okay. Octopi or octopuses. Okay. Post-op locale. I think octopi is actually sort of technically an improper. It's kind of one of those. I think you'd probably refer to this as a hypercorrection when people use something that kind of sounds more advanced or literary or sort of linguistically precise, but in fact it's actually less correct. I think if you were to pluralize it in the Greek style, it would be something like octopodes. But it's English, you can just say octopuses. Okay, post-op locale. ICU, intensive care unit. So, and by the way, I'm not saying that makes this clue poor. It sort of doesn't matter because when things get adopted into a language, that they become part of that language. I mean, obviously that's where most English vocabulary comes from, sort of adopted from Norman French. But so I wasn't saying that to criticize the puzzle. It's just one of those funny historical things. Scent Express. Rushed. Okay, and then no need to find a professional illustrator. Use my something. I don't know. Okay. And here's the tour guide's remarks to the Hollow Factory. Hard to say. Oh, I don't know, maybe? Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the answer. Senate staffer, an aide, a Senate aide to a senator. And if one is stored for the night as a bus, shedded. The bus is in a bus shed, a sort of bus depot. There we go. Okay, I think that's probably the word. Haven't really encountered the word shedded very often, but that sounds very plausible. I could easily imagine that being a terminology for this. Checked the license of informally. If someone ID'd you, they checked your license. Supporter of the arts, a question mark though. Okay, what's the pun? I don't know. Not sure what that's getting at. NASA shorthand for a spacewalk. Oh, this is one of those terms. I'll recognize it when I see it, but I don't use it enough to have it on the top of my head. But it's annoying because I'm going to be so annoyed when I see it because I just can't think what it is. That's so frustrating. Anyway, here we have parlez-vous français. So this is asking someone if they speak French in the formal mode, or I guess in theory it could be informal if you're addressing a group of people. Some godmothers are aunts, maybe. So, yeah, here it is, EVA. That's what it is. And I think the reason I have trouble remembering is because I can never remember what it actually stands for. But I recognize it now that I see it. Anyway, there we have it. Not that it helped me. Supporter of the arts would, a pedestal, right? So you could have a bit of sculpture or something literally on a physical pedestal. And then little annoyance could be a gnat, so a little insect that bothers you. Farm home could be a sty, so maybe pigs on their sty in the farm. And then sacred is holy, great. So tour guide's remark is, that's a doe, that's enough, maybe? We're turning that's enough into that's a doe, or that's a, it is an N that yeah, okay. That's a doe, that's a doe-brainer, that's a no-brainer? I don't know what brainer would mean really. Oh, braider? That's a dough braider. Oh, because challah is a braided, it's got that very distinctive braided shape. That's a really, really great clue. And and there are two of them. Oops, brainer. There are two D's. Is that the first time that's happened? Well, sort of. We had two D's here, but the hard one wasn't the result of a modification. It wasn't. It's a Harn knock life. And do as I say, dot as I do. So there are three D's in here, but only one of them is the result of a modification. Right. Okay. So I think this is the first time we've seen this. Maybe it'll happen again here, but we'll get back to it. Okay. Very nice. That's a dough braider. That's very clever. I like it. One of the Starks on Game of Thrones. Okay. I've never seen Game of Thrones, unfortunately, but there's a Ned Stark. I think that's the only one I've heard of specifically. The B. I don't know what the B. Hatches, e.g., are essentially doors. National dish of the Philippines, adobo? I think that's right. Let's look at the cross. Blank weekly, alt weekly. So, like a alternative weekly newspaper covering local arts and culture, that kind of thing. Okay, and then here we have adobo, like adobo chicken, for instance. Member of an isolated colony once would be, a leper. Someone with leprosy who lived in a leper colony to avoid, because they were shunned by the population. Meeting for two, a tryst maybe? Let's see if that works. There might be other possibilities. Fictional dog with a star on the Hollywood Hall of Fame. It must be Snoopy from the Charles Schulz comic strip Peanuts. And I was going to say if one promises to pay as a verb, but it's not. It's a noun. Promises to pay are IOUs. There we go. Spreadsheet button, you could sort in a spreadsheet, and then lazy river conveyances are tubes, like inner tubes, and then frosting alternative is fondant, can be used to, sort of sugar-based thing that can be used to create patterns and such on baked goods. Okay, gym rats focus, their body, their figure. Interesting, two B's, didn't expect that. Yeah, web? I don't have an idea about that. Utensil drawer compartment. Spoons. Straightforward enough. Bob. Bob with two B's. One of the Starks. Bob Stark. No need to find a professional illustrator. Use your doodle. Right. Very good. From use your noodle. So the original phrase, use your noodle, we're transforming it to use your doodle. We're saying, well, you've already doodled it. Use that. No need to find a professional illustrator. What context is in a saying? Context is key, as the saying goes. Country that becomes a language if you remove its last letter. Oh, again, yeah, Laos becomes Lao, the language. There we go. My turn, I'm up, and then paper pack, a pack of paper is a ream. How many packs of paper did Peter Piper pack? Like a redhead's temperament, it's said. Fiery, I guess, because they have red hair. All right. Info in an About Us section, bios, so biographies of the people involved with whatever it is you're reading about, publication or website or whatever. Champagne specification could be brut, so that would be a dry champagne, right? And then knitting stitch. Oh, I think purl, P-U-R-L, I think is a knitting term. DHL competitor is UPS, right? Okay, so these are shipping and logistics companies, and they compete with one another. And then a small painful bump is a sty, so you can get that in eyelid, that kind of thing. And that's it. So not too tricky for a Sunday crossword, I think. That was reasonably accessible, and a very nice theme. Hold your doze, hold your nose. It really does sound like a congested kind of illness. Okay, so here we have, if that missing house title ever does show up, in other words, should the deed arise? Question from someone with a lot, and that was from, of course, should the need arise. So here we have question from someone with a lot of outstanding debt. What else is new becomes what else is due. The teacher's instruction in a class on pointillism, do as I say, not as I do, becomes do as I say, dot as I do. I really like that. That one. I think that and the dough braider are my favorites. Okay. Stevedore's complaint. It's a hard knock life becomes it's a hard dock life. And no need to find a professional illustrator turns from use your noodle into use your doodle. And finally, my favorite, the tour guide's remark at the Hollow Factory changes from that's a no-brainer to that's a dough-brainer. Very good. And as is often the case with this sort of theme, with one specific rule to follow, often it will be the case that the constructor will orient it such that the clue that, or the answer that kind of pushes the theme slightly further comes towards the end. And that has happened here. Once we've internalized the theme, now we can step it up with two ends. And there we have it. Nice construction by Christina Iverson and Katie Hale. Thank you to them. And thanks to you for watching this long Sunday edition of the New York Times Crossword. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back tomorrow with the much smaller, quicker, easier Monday puzzle. Do join me for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Sunday. Take care.